Commander Ethan Cole had seen many strange things in his years serving the United Earth Fleet. He had seen stars collapse, ships vanish into dark wormholes, and whole planets rise from ruins. But nothing compared to the confusion he faced on the day he accidentally got married to an alien princess. It started during a peace mission in the Ardent system, where Earth's fleet was meeting the Cathari Empire for the first time. The Cathari were tall, graceful beings with silver-blue skin and glowing eyes, known for their advanced technology and deep sense of honor. The peace conference was supposed to mark a new era, humans and Cathari working together instead of watching each other through the sights of plasma cannons. Ethan was part of the escort team protecting Lady Saralyn, the Cathari ambassador. She was curious about humans, always asking questions about Earth and about rain, music, oceans, and laughter. Her people rarely laughed, but she said humans made the galaxy feel alive. During the diplomatic shuttle flight to the main council station, everything went wrong. A sudden explosion rocked the ship. The hull cracked open, alarms blared, and smoke filled the cabin. Someone had planted a plasma charge. A clear act of sabotage. Ethan's instincts took over. He grabbed Saralyn's arm, pulled her toward the escape pod, and tried to stabilize her breathing mask. The air was filling with toxins, but when he reached for his emergency beacon, the device used to track survivors, Saralyn's wrist was the closest solid point to attach it to. He pressed it there to lock it on her, his last quick decision before the pod ejected into space. Hours later, Ethan woke up in the medical bay of the United Earth flagship Endeavour. He was alive. Saralyn was safe. The rescue team said he had saved her life. But when he walked into the briefing room, every officer stared at him like he had just started an interstellar scandal. Admiral Reeves cleared his throat. "Commander Cole," he said carefully, "we've received diplomatic communication from the Cathari. They say you have performed something called the Bond of Life." Ethan frowned. "Sir, I only put a beacon on her wrist." Saralyn, standing beside the holographic table, smiled. A gentle, almost embarrassed smile. "In Cathari law, placing a life-tracking device upon another being is a sacred act. It means you claim responsibility for that life. It means unity. In our oldest traditions, it means marriage." The room went silent. Ethan blinked. "Marriage? That can't be right. It was first aid." Saralyn's eyes softened. "I believe you, Commander. But the law is very clear. Once the beacon was sealed to my pulse, the bond was witnessed by the ship's system. The Galactic Council has already recognized it." The Admiral rubbed his forehead. "Son, congratulations or condolences, I'm not sure which." News spread faster than light. Across human and Cathari networks, headlines flashed. "Human commander marries alien ambassador." Memes and diplomatic discussions exploded. Some saw it as a sign of unity. Others called it a cultural disaster. Ethan, meanwhile, was stuck in meetings. Lawyers, diplomats, and translators tried to find a loophole in Cathari law. There was none. Saralyn's bond with Ethan was now legal, public, and unbreakable, unless both agreed to end it, which would take years of council approval. The strange thing was, Saralyn did not seem upset. She was calm, graceful, and even amused. When Ethan finally met her in private, she bowed slightly. "You have saved my life, Commander Cole. The law may be strange to you, but among my people, such an act is the highest honor. You have my gratitude, and it seems my hand." Ethan sighed. "I didn't mean to cause trouble, Lady Saralyn." "I know," she said gently, "but perhaps fate has a sense of humor." A few days later, Ethan was invited, or rather summoned, to the Galactic Council chamber. The Great Hall floated in orbit above a blue gas giant, surrounded by ships from hundreds of worlds. Representatives from different species gathered to witness the official confirmation of the bond between human and Cathari. As Ethan walked through the long corridor of glass and light, he could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes. Saralyn stood beside him, wearing a long robe of shimmering silver threads. She looked regal yet uncertain. When the council speaker asked for the bond confirmation, Ethan hesitated. "This was never meant to happen," he said, "but I'll respect your law and my actions. I saved her because it was the right thing to do, not for reward, not for politics." His honesty surprised the chamber. The speaker nodded slowly. "Then let this bond stand as a symbol of unity between our species. So it shall be written." The entire hall lit up with soft blue light, the mark of a sealed galactic vow. Saralyn turned toward him and whispered, "From this moment our fates are one." Ethan managed a nervous smile. "Guess I'd better learn your family traditions." She blinked. "Oh, about that." Later, in a private diplomatic session, Saralyn explained the next part of the law. Her voice was calm, but even she looked slightly embarrassed. "In Cathari royal tradition," she said, "a life bond with a noble sister cannot stand alone. To balance the energies of the house, the bond must extend to all direct sisters of the same lineage." Ethan stared. "I'm sorry, what?" She folded her hands. "It means you are also bound to marry my 3 sisters. It is not romantic, Commander, but political. It ensures equal unity across our family's domains." Ethan almost dropped his tablet. "So, I didn't just marry you?" Saralyn looked apologetic. "Under the law, no. You have married into my house. You will meet them soon." He rubbed his forehead. "This has to be a dream." That night, sitting in his cabin, Ethan stared out the viewport. Stars shimmered like cold sparks. He had joined the fleet to explore the galaxy, not to become part of alien royalty, yet deep inside he couldn't help but smile. The Cathari were strange but noble. Saralyn was kind. Maybe, just maybe, this accident could lead to something greater, a bridge between worlds. The next morning, the Endeavor set course for the Cathari homeworld, Velar Prime. The crew teased him gently, calling him Your Majesty, but they all respected what he had done. Saving Saralyn had not just saved one life, it had opened a new chapter in human diplomacy. As the ship entered hyperspace, Saralyn joined him on the observation deck. She stood quietly, watching the stars stretch into long rivers of light. "Are you angry?" she asked softly. Ethan shook his head. "No, just surprised. My people don't usually get married by accident." She smiled faintly. "Nor do mine. Perhaps we are both victims of destiny." They stood there in silence for a while, 2 beings from different worlds, joined by chance and law. But beyond the awkwardness, there was something new, a sense of respect. Maybe even the beginning of friendship. Far ahead, Velar Prime awaited, a planet of crystal towers, twin suns, and 3 royal sisters who would soon turn one human commander's life completely upside down. And somewhere in the shadows of deep space, unseen enemies watched the forming alliance with dark interest. The galaxy had just changed, and none of them yet knew how much. The journey to Velar Prime took 4 standard days through hyperspace. Commander Ethan Cole spent most of that time studying everything he could about Cathari culture. The data files were full of strange customs, old traditions and long poems about unity, honor, and shared life currents. Still, nothing in those files could prepare him for what was waiting on the Cathari homeworld. When the Endeavor dropped out of hyperspace, Velar Prime filled the viewport, a shining world of silver oceans and glowing cities built inside giant crystal domes. Twin suns painted the sky gold and blue. Even the stars seemed to bend slightly toward the planet as if showing respect. Admiral Reeves patted Ethan's shoulder. "Well, Commander, good luck. Remember, diplomacy first, panic later." Ethan gave a tired smile. "That's been my motto since the day this started." Arrival on Velar Prime. When the shuttle landed at the Royal Spaceport, hundreds of Cathari citizens gathered to see the human consort. Banners rippled in the wind, displaying both the Cathari sigil and the Earth emblem side by side. For the first time, 2 completely different civilizations stood united, because of one man's accidental act. Saralyn walked beside Ethan as they descended the ramp. Her calmness made the moment easier. 4 royal guards stood waiting in front of a tall crystalline gate. Beyond that gate, Ethan saw a palace that looked as if it had been carved out of light. A tall figure stepped forward, strong, with armor made of black metal and gold. Her eyes glowed brighter than Saralyn's. Saralyn lowered her head slightly. "My sister Varel, General of the Home Guard." Varel studied Ethan from head to toe. Her voice was sharp, steady, and full of command. "So this is the human who bonded with my sister by mistake. Tell me, human, do you always create treaties through accidents?" Ethan tried to stay calm. "Only on special occasions." Varel's eyes narrowed, but a faint smirk appeared. "At least you have humor. That may help you survive here." Saralyn smiled softly. "Be kind, sister. He has shown courage." "I will judge that myself," Varel said, turning toward the palace. "Come, Earthman. The others are waiting." Meeting the sisters. The grand hall of the palace glowed with soft blue light. Walls shimmered like frozen waves and golden symbols floated in the air, ancient verses about family and unity. 3 other women waited near the throne platform. The first wore flowing robes covered in silver patterns. Her hands were folded calmly as she studied a glowing data sphere. Saralyn introduced her. "This is Nara, my second sister. She is a scholar and our keeper of history." Nara gave a polite nod. Her voice was gentle and thoughtful. "I have read much about your people, Commander Cole. Your species learns quickly and you survive where others would give up. That is a quality the Cathari admire." "Thank you," Ethan said. "I think survival is something both our peoples understand." The third sister looked much younger. She wore no armor or royal robe, only a simple crystal band around her head. Her eyes sparkled like twin stars. Saralyn smiled. "And this is Thara, the youngest. She is different." Thara tilted her head and spoke softly, her voice almost musical. "You come from a world that sings, human. I can feel its rhythm in you. You will bring storms and light." Ethan blinked. "Is that good?" Thara smiled mysteriously. "We will see." Virel folded her arms. "Enough talk. The Council of Houses meets in 1 hour. The human must understand his position. The law of shared bond in the council chamber. Dozens of Cathari nobles gathered. Their long robes shimmered with embedded energy crystals. They spoke softly in their own language, casting curious glances at Ethan. At the center of the room stood the council speaker, an elder with eyes that reflected whole galaxies. "Commander Cole," the speaker said, "you have entered into the bond of life with Lady Saralyn. According to Cathari royal code, this bond extends to her sisters, Lady Virel, Lady Nara, and Lady Thara. You are now a representative of unity among them." Ethan cleared his throat. "With respect, sir, humans have only one partner in our traditions. This law is very strange for us," the speaker nodded. "Indeed, but laws are the bridge between worlds. You may not need to love them as your people define it, but you must respect them as equals. Together you represent 2 species joined in peace." Saralyn turned to him. "That is why this bond matters, Ethan. It's not just about us. It's about what we can build." Ethan thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "All right. I'll honor it. I may not understand all your customs, but I'll do my best to represent humanity with respect." Nara smiled faintly. "That is all we ask." Virel raised an eyebrow. "We'll see if your actions match your words, human." Bridging the gap, the next few days were full of ceremonies, lessons, and endless meetings. Ethan learned how to greet the Cathari Council, how to walk on the sacred floors, and even how to eat their strange glowing fruit without accidentally insulting anyone. Despite the pressure, he found himself enjoying some moments. Nyara showed him the great library of Valar, endless halls of floating crystal tablets that recorded the history of 10,000 worlds. She explained how Cathari believed every event left an energy echo, and their historians listened to those echoes to learn from the past. "You humans do something similar," Nyara said thoughtfully. "You call it memory. You hold your history in your minds and hearts," Ethan smiled. "Sometimes we forget too easily." "Then perhaps," she said, "that is why you were chosen, to remind the galaxy of what remembering means." Meanwhile, Virel trained soldiers in the courtyard. Her drills were sharp and merciless. She invited Ethan to spar, saying she wanted to test his human reflexes. He accepted and was thrown flat on his back within 10 seconds. Virel helped him up, laughing. "You fight with spirit. You may yet survive our ways." Thara spent most of her time in the Garden of Lights, where strange flowers floated in mid-air. She spoke in riddles, but her words made Ethan think. "Do you know why the stars watch us, Ethan?" she asked one evening. "I suppose because they have nothing else to do," he joked. She shook her head. "They watch because they remember. Every star holds a memory of someone's courage. You will add your own soon." He didn't know what she meant, but her eyes shone with quiet certainty. Rising shadows, while Ethan was learning the ways of the Cathari, a new threat was quietly growing. Reports came from border systems, Cathari ships disappearing, Earth outposts attacked, and strange signals from the dark side of the Ardent Nebula. During a secret meeting, Virel showed Ethan the data. "It's the Zethar Dominion," she said grimly. "They hate our alliance. They think humans will upset the balance of the galaxy." Ethan frowned. "Then they're planning something." "Indeed," Virel said. "And we must prepare. Saralyn entered the room quietly. The Council believes diplomacy will stop the conflict, but I fear that won't be enough. We need both strength and heart. Ethan nodded. Then let's give them both. For the first time, all four sisters looked at him not as an outsider, but as one of them, a human who had become part of their family through courage, not just law, a new beginning that night. As the twin moons rose over Velar Prime, the palace glowed softly. Ethan stood on the balcony watching the stars. Saralyn joined him. You handled my sisters well, she said, smiling slightly. I think I survived, he replied. Barely. They respect you now. Even Varel, that is not easy. Ethan looked at her. Saralyn, do you really believe this bond can work? Between us, between our worlds? She nodded slowly. Yes, because you do not run from what you don't understand. You face it. That is what makes humans different. They stood together in silence, watching the endless stars. Somewhere out there, the Zithar Dominion was moving, preparing to strike. But for this one night, peace still held, fragile, bright, and full of hope. And Ethan Cole, the human who had once just followed orders, was now at the center of a new chapter in galactic history. The man bound by law, destiny, and a strange growing friendship that might one day save them all. Peace on Velar Prime lasted only a few weeks. Commander Ethan Cole had begun to feel more comfortable among the Cathari. He had learned their customs, earned a little of their trust, and even started to laugh again. But beyond the glowing skies and silver oceans, darkness was rising. The Zithar Dominion was preparing for war. It began with small attacks. A trade ship vanished near the border. Then a Cathari patrol was found destroyed, its signal beacon carved with the Dominion's mark, a spiral of black and red. And then one terrible morning the alarm echoed through the palace. Dominion fleet entering orbit, shouted the voice from the communication crystal. The sky turned red as enemy ships appeared above Velar Prime. Long black vessels, shaped like blades, cut through the clouds. Their weapons glowed with cruel light. The peace conference that had united human and Cathari was now under fire. The first battle, Saralyn rushed into the command hall, her robe fluttering like silver flame. Activate the planetary shields, she ordered. Viral was already there, giving commands to her soldiers. Defensive lines ready. Ground batteries online. Ethan entered the hall in his Earth Fleet uniform. He looked calm, but inside he felt a storm. He turned to Saralyn. Your forces are disciplined, but they'll be overwhelmed if the Dominion cuts through orbit. We need to think like them, Varel frowned. And how do humans think, Commander? Ethan smiled faintly. We think sideways. He opened his datapad and began to draw quick tactical notes. Your ships are waiting for orders from the Council. That's a mistake. Dominion captains won't wait. We must act faster. Strike their supply vessels first, not their warships. Starve them, confuse them, and make them chase shadows. Nara studied the plan. You would use deception as defense? Exactly, Ethan said. Let them fight the wrong battle. Varel looked doubtful, but Saralyn nodded. He's right. We cannot match the Dominion's numbers, but we can outthink them. Varel finally grinned. Then let's see what human tactics can do. Into the skies hours later, the first battle began. Ethan stood beside Varel on the command bridge of a Cathari warship named Aurora's Blade. Outside the window, space burned with light. Ships twisting and firing, shields flaring blue and gold. The Dominion fleet moved in perfect formation like a storm made of steel. Ethan's plan began to unfold. He ordered decoy drones to mimic Cathari signatures, confusing enemy sensors. Then he sent a small human Cathari strike team, Falcon Squad, to destroy the Dominion's fuel carriers hidden behind the main fleet. Within minutes, explosions rippled through the void. The Dominion's main line broke formation, their ships turning to protect the burning carriers. Virel's eyes widened. It worked. You made them scatter, Ethan nodded. Now focus fire on their left flank. Push them toward the magnetic rings. Virel grinned fiercely. By the stars, you fight like a Cathari, Ethan laughed. Or maybe you fight like a human. The cost of victory, the battle lasted 8 hours. When it was over, the Dominion fleet retreated beyond the moon of Velar Prime. Cathari cities were safe, and the alliance between humans and Cathari grew stronger that day. But victory came with loss. Half of Falcon Squad never returned, and among the wounded was a young Cathari pilot who had once doubted the human commander. When Ethan visited the medical hall, the pilot managed a weak smile. You fought for us, human. You made us believe again. Ethan placed a hand on the pilot's shoulder. We fight for each other. That's what allies do. Nara watched from the doorway, her calm eyes full of quiet pride. You have changed something in our people, Commander. They now see you not as an outsider, but as one of us. He looked at her. Change always begins with understanding. The prophecy of Thara. While the soldiers celebrated victory, Thara stood alone in the Garden of Lights. The glowing flowers pulsed softly around her. When Ethan approached, she turned, her expression troubled. I saw shadows today, she said softly. The war is not over. It has only started. Ethan frowned. You mean the Dominion will attack again? She nodded slowly. They will return stronger. And someone within our own council is guiding them. Ethan's eyes widened. A traitor? Thara looked toward the stars. A voice in the dark whispers lies to the council. Be careful, Ethan. The real battle is not in the skies. It is within. Her words left him uneasy. If the Dominion had spies inside the council, then no amount of ships or tactics could save them. The sisters unite. The next day, Saralyn gathered her sisters and Ethan in the royal chamber. The council wants to negotiate again, she said. But Thara's vision worries me. If there's betrayal within, we cannot trust every voice. Varel slammed her fist on the table. Enough talk. We should find the traitor and end this. Nara frowned. That would divide the council and destroy unity. We must move carefully. Ethan stepped forward. You're both right. We can't accuse anyone without proof. But we can look for signs. Encrypted messages, hidden transmissions, anything unusual. Saralyn looked at him with quiet confidence. Then we will investigate together. Each of us holds part of the truth. And so, for the first time, all four sisters and the human commander worked as one. Saralyn used her diplomatic network to gather information. Virel examined military data for irregular orders. Nara searched historical records for similar betrayals. And Thara followed her visions, guiding them through small clues no one else could see. Every night, Ethan brought their findings together, building a picture piece by piece. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became. Someone in the Galactic Council was helping the Dominion from the shadows. A human's courage days later, during a diplomatic summit broadcast across the galaxy, the Dominion launched another surprise attack, this time targeting the Council station itself. Chaos erupted as explosions tore through the orbital docks. Delegates fled, ships collided, and panic spread. Ethan acted instantly. He grabbed the Council's emergency transmitter and shouted into it, All defense units, hold your fire! Follow my signal! We fight together! He ordered the remaining Earth and Cathari ships into a defensive ring around the station. Human pilots worked side by side with Cathari warriors. Virel led ground forces while Saralyn coordinated evacuation routes. Naira managed communications, sending coded signals to friendly systems for reinforcements. Thara stood by Ethan, whispering directions from her strange foresight. Every time he moved ships, they avoided disaster. When the reinforcements arrived, the Dominion finally retreated again, leaving behind debris and silence. Ethan looked around the damaged station, breathing hard. We did it, he said quietly. Virel smiled. You did it. Your plan saved the Council. Ethan shook his head. We did it. All of us. Respect earned. After the battle, the Galactic Council gathered to thank the defenders. The speaker turned to Ethan. Human, today you proved that courage is not bound by race or blood. You led both our people when hope was lost. For that you have our respect. Ethan bowed his head. I only did what anyone should do. Protect those who believe in peace. Saralyn placed her hand on his arm. No, Ethan. You did what no one else dared. You stood between two worlds and made them one. Nara smiled. Perhaps that is what the prophecy meant, Thara whispered. The stars remember. Even Virel, the proud warrior, gave him a rare smile. You are a strange human, Ethan Cole, but I would follow you into any battle. A quiet moment. That night the palace was quiet again. The fires of battle had faded. Ethan stood on the same balcony as before, looking up at the twin moons. Saralyn joined him. You've become part of our story, she said softly. Maybe our stories were always meant to meet, he replied. She looked at him, her eyes bright with gratitude. The galaxy saw a new kind of strength today, not power but unity. You showed them what humans truly are. Ethan smiled. Just people trying to do what's right. The wind carried their words away, up into the shining sky where the stars glowed softly, silent witnesses to a growing bond that had already begun to change the galaxy. But somewhere, deep within the council archives, a hidden signal blinked, proof that Thara's warning was true. The traitor had not been caught yet, and the next phase of the war would test not just courage, but trust itself. The calm after battle never lasts long in the galaxy. Commander Ethan Cole had hoped that the Dominion's retreat meant a temporary peace. But Thara's warning echoed in his mind. The danger was not just in space, it was within the very walls of the Galactic Council. For weeks, Ethan and the sisters had quietly investigated. They examined council records, communications logs, and reports from distant star systems. At first, they found nothing unusual. The council's operations seemed flawless. But as they dug deeper, patterns emerged. Encrypted messages sent to unknown coordinates during times when the Dominion struck. Someone had been feeding intelligence directly to the enemy, the hidden traitor. One late evening, Nara approached Ethan with a stack of crystal tablets. Her expression was tense. "I found it," she said. "Someone inside the council is helping the Dominion." The encrypted transmissions match the pattern of the recent attacks. "And there's a signature here, someone high-ranking." Ethan leaned over the glowing tablets, tracing the sequence with his finger. "This is more than sabotage, it's strategic. They knew exactly where to strike. If we don't stop this, countless systems could fall." Virel slammed her hand on the table. "Then we don't wait. We strike first and uncover the traitor." Saralyn shook her head. "We must be careful. The Council has spies in every department. One false move could destroy the alliance we've built." Thara approached silently, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "The traitor will reveal themselves when the right choice is forced. We need a plan to draw them out without endangering the innocent." Ethan nodded. "Then we use the Dominion. They will be the bait, and we will be the trap." Planning the trap, the sisters and Ethan worked for hours, mapping the Dominion's next likely target. Ethan's mind raced. "We'll let the Dominion attack the station again, but we'll control the battle this time. I want every ship in a position that forces the traitor to act. If they send instructions to the enemy, we'll trace it." Virel's eyes gleamed. "That's risky. If we fail, the station falls." Ethan smiled faintly. "Risk is part of being human, but calculated risk can win wars." Nara calculated probabilities and signals. "We can isolate transmissions through my network. Whoever sends the orders will show themselves," Thara whispered. "And I will guide you to the exact moment the traitor reveals themselves. Timing is everything." Saralyn placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Then we proceed as one. Our unity is stronger than their deception." The Council under siege. 2 days later, the Dominion struck again. The battle began before dawn, their ships pouring through the orbital gates of the Council station. Alarms rang through every chamber. Smoke and warning lights filled the hallways. Ethan stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, coordinating with Virel on the orbital. The war was over. The Zethar Dominion had been defeated, its fleet shattered and its plans exposed. The traitor within the Galactic Council had been revealed and removed, and Valor Prime's twin moons shone peacefully over the city. Commander Ethan Cole stood in the council hall, surrounded by the 4 Cathari sisters. Saralyn, Virel, Nyera, and Thara, each of them radiant in their own way, and each a part of the bond that had begun as law but had grown into something more. For months, Ethan had trained, fought, and led with them. He had learned their customs, faced their enemies, and earned their trust. He had been pushed to the edge of exhaustion, and yet he had survived, not just through skill, but through human ingenuity, courage, and empathy. Now, the time had come to decide the future of their bond. The Council's decision. The Galactic Council had convened one final session. Their faces, aliens of every shape, size, and color, reflected curiosity, respect, and relief. The speaker, elder of countless stars, addressed the room. "Commander Cole has proven himself beyond measure. He has defended the Cathari, united species, and shown that human courage and wisdom can strengthen alliances. The marriage law that bound him to the royal house of Saralyn is now symbolic. It shall no longer compel bonds. It exists only as choice." Ethan's heart thumped. Symbolic. Choice. No longer a forced law, but a chance to define the bond himself. The speaker's gaze softened. The House of Cerulean may now declare its wishes. Human, the decision is yours. And theirs. The sisters offer one by one. The sisters approached Ethan. Virel, the warrior, stepped forward first. You have fought alongside us, human. You have earned our respect. You are free to choose your own path. Nera, the scholar, gave a small bow. We offer freedom and friendship. Whatever you choose, it shall be respected. Thara, with her quiet wisdom, added, The stars watch. They remember courage. They do not command it. You may follow your heart. Finally, Cerulean spoke, her voice soft but firm. Ethan, you do not have to stay bound by law. You may leave, return to Earth, and resume your life, but if you wish to remain, it will be by your own choice. Ethan looked at them, 4 remarkable women, each with strength, wisdom, and courage. And yet he saw something more. Not obligation, not law. He saw trust, respect, and genuine bonds. The choice of the heart. Ethan took a deep breath. The decision weighed heavily, but it felt right. He spoke slowly, clearly. I choose to stay, not because the law says I must, not because of duty, but because I believe in what we have built. You are my friends, my allies, and my family. Together we can face whatever the galaxy throws at us. The sisters' eyes shone. Relief, pride, and warmth filled the room. Cerulean smiled, stepping closer. Then let our bond be one of choice, of honor, courage, and unity. Virel gave a rare grin. Finally, a human worth following. Nera laughed softly. It seems the prophecy was not about fate, but about trust. Thara's expression was calm, serene, but her eyes sparkled. The stars approve. The celebration Velar Prime erupted in joy. The city's lights shimmered in every color imaginable. Citizens from all walks of life, humans and Cathari alike, gathered in the streets. Music, dancing, and laughter filled the air. For the first time, humans and Cathari celebrated not as separate species, but as allies, united by courage and friendship. Ethan moved among the crowd, shaking hands, exchanging stories, and laughing at the antics of young Cathari children trying to mimic human gestures. Cerulean stood beside him, pointing out the celebrations. You see, Ethan? This is what your courage has brought. Not just peace, but hope. Ethan nodded. It feels like home. Virel, Nyera, and Thara joined them, and together they watched the city from the palace balcony. The stars above seemed brighter than ever, like silent witnesses to the bond that had formed. Ambassadors of unity. With the Dominion gone and the council cleansed, the sisters took on new roles. Cerulean became the primary diplomat for her house, representing Cathari interests with humans and other species. Virel led the Cathari Defense Forces, training new generations to protect peace. Nyera oversaw knowledge and historical archives, ensuring the lessons of the war were never forgotten. Thara guided foresight and strategic planning, using her visions to prevent future conflicts. Ethan became their human consort, not in a legal sense but as a bridge between worlds. His knowledge, courage, and empathy were now symbols of human honor, inspiring countless species across the galaxy. Together, they traveled from planet to planet, resolving disputes, mediating conflicts, and teaching the value of unity and understanding. A moment of reflection. Quiet evening. Ethan walked alone on the palace balcony. Velar Prime's twin moons bathed the city in soft silver light. He thought of the journey he had taken. From a simple fleet commander to a hero who had united species and built trust where none existed. Cerulean joined him silently, placing a hand on his shoulder. You've changed everything, Ethan. You've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. Ethan smiled faintly. I didn't do it alone. I had your help, all of you. Without you, I'd be lost in rules I didn't understand. Cerulean nodded. And now you are home, not because of law, but because you chose it. He looked up at the stars, feeling their quiet glow. It's strange. I thought humans were small, weak, and alone in the galaxy. But maybe we're stronger than we know. Not because of weapons or numbers, but because of courage, empathy, and the bonds we build. She smiled. And now the galaxy knows it too. A new era begins across hundreds of worlds, news spread. Humans were no longer just another species. They were symbols of unity, honor, and courage. Their small planet had given birth to heroes who could stand alongside ancient civilizations and change the course of history. On Velar Prime, celebrations continued. Ships flew overhead. Colored lights danced on crystal towers and citizens cheered for their new heroes. Ethan stood with the four sisters watching the display. Their hands touched in a silent show of solidarity, a symbol of trust, friendship, and the bonds that had grown stronger than law. Virel laughed. "You've survived everything, human. Even the law of marriage to four sisters." Ethan grinned. "Barely. But I wouldn't trade it for anything." Nara smiled softly. "You've taught us that humans can be more than we imagined," Thara whispered. "And the stars remember your courage, Ethan Cole." Sarah eyes met his. "Let us go forward together. Not because we must, but because we choose to." The final message, Ethan sent a message to Earth. Humans do not conquer worlds. We build families among the stars. We stand with those who share courage and trust. And together we are stronger than any law, stronger than any enemy. Let this be the beginning of a new era, the age of human honor. The message was received with astonishment and pride. Citizens of Earth cheered for their ambassador, a man who had shown that one human could change the galaxy, not by force but by courage, intelligence, and compassion. A future united. The human commander and the four sisters had faced war, betrayal, and uncertainty. Yet now, standing together on the balcony of Velar Prime, they saw the galaxy differently, not as a place of danger and chaos, but as a vast field of possibilities. No longer bound by law, they were bound by choice. No longer driven by fear, they were guided by courage. No longer separated by species, they were united by trust. And somewhere, in the quiet glow of the stars, the galaxy watched, remembered, and smiled. For the first time in centuries, humans and Cathari had learned the most important truth of all. Unity is stronger than power, and choice is the greatest law of all. Commander Ethan Cole smiled, knowing that the future was theirs, and that the bonds he had formed would guide countless worlds into a new, brighter age. The end.